Jun Kim yawned and poured his third cup of coffee. Tuesday mornings at the Seoul International Diplomatic Center were always quiet. Too quiet. As the United Nations liaison officer for extraterrestrial contact protocols, his job mostly involved filing reports no one read and attending meetings where people tried not to laugh at his job title. 5 years. 5 years since the UN had created this position after the strange signals from deep space. 5 years of being the butt of jokes at diplomatic parties. Here comes the alien guy, they would whisper and smile. Jun didn't mind. His office had a nice view of the city. The pay was good and someone had to be ready. Just in case. He was halfway through a boring report when a deep rumble shook his coffee cup. At first he thought it was an earthquake. Then the ceiling split open, not cracked. Not collapsed, split open like someone had taken a giant can opener to the roof. Sunlight poured in through the growing hole, followed by something that blocked the light. People screamed. Papers flew everywhere as workers ran for the exits. Security alarms blared. Red emergency lights flashed. And through it all, Jun sat at his desk, staring up as a silver ship the size of a bus gently lowered itself into the main lobby. "Well," he said to no one in particular, "at least I'm not getting fired today." By the time the ship touched down, the lobby was empty except for Jun. He straightened his tie, grabbed his first contact protocol binder from his bottom drawer, and walked toward the ship. His hands shook, but his face remained calm. A section of the smooth silver hull slid open. No smoke, no dramatic lights, just an opening and then him. The alien was tall, at least 7 feet. His skin was pale blue, his eyes large and dark. He wore what looked like a simple gray uniform with no visible weapons. 4 long fingers on each hand. No hair. "Hello," Jun said, his voice surprisingly steady. "Welcome to Earth. I'm Jun Kim, United Nations Liaison for Extraterrestrial Contact." The alien blinked, then spoke in perfect Korean. "You were expecting me?" "Not you specifically," Jun admitted, "but we hoped someone would come eventually." "And you're not running away," the alien observed. "It's literally my job not to." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I am Dak, Senior Diplomatic Envoy of the Galactic Coalition. I come with urgent news for your world leaders." "Urgent?" Jun felt his professional calm slip. "Is it an emergency?" "You could say that," Dak replied. "Your planet has approximately 56 of your days before the Vorn invasion fleet arrives in your solar system." Jun blinked. "The what does what now?" "Perhaps we should sit down," Dak suggested. 4 hours later, Jun had called every emergency contact in his protocol binder. 12 world leaders were now connected via secure video link in a conference room that had been quickly cleared and secured. Dak stood beside him, watching as the faces on the screens argued among themselves. "Is this normal?" Dak whispered to Jun. "For humans?" "Yes, very," Jun replied. "They'll calm down soon." The President of the United States finally spoke loudly, enough to silence the others. "So let me get this straight. Your coalition has been watching Earth for decades, and you finally decided we're ready to join your space club. But some other aliens called the Vorn intercepted your messages about us and are now coming to conquer Earth?" "That is correct," Dak said. "The Vorn Empire expands by force. They have conquered 17 worlds in the last century. Their technology is far beyond yours." "How far beyond?" asked the Chinese premier. "Their smallest warships could destroy your largest cities from orbit with minimal effort," Dak said simply. "Your nuclear weapons would not penetrate their shields. Your aircraft would be shot down before getting close." Jun expected panic. Instead, he saw something else in the eyes of the world leaders. Interest, calculation, even a hint of excitement. "And how many ships are in this invasion fleet?" asked the Russian president. "Based on previous conquest patterns, likely between 150 and 200 vessels," Dak replied. The German chancellor leaned forward. "And what were you planning to do about this? Evacuate us?" Dak looked confused. "Evacuate an entire planet? That would be impossible. The coalition sent me to offer technological assistance to help you survive the occupation. With proper submission protocols, the Vorn sometimes allow limited self-governance." The room went silent. Then the Indian Prime Minister laughed. Submit? I don't think you understand humans very well, Mr. Dak. We will not be occupied, the Brazilian president stated firmly. The Korean president, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Mr. Kim, as our new extraterrestrial expert, what do you suggest? All eyes turned to June. He cleared his throat. We need to form a united defense immediately, share all military resources, and Mr. Dak needs to tell us everything he knows about foreign technology and tactics. I will help however I can, Dak said. But you must understand the coalition itself avoids direct conflict with the Vorn. Their technology can be studied, understood, and countered, interrupted a new voice. A woman had entered the conference room. She wore a lab coat with a badge from the Korean Advanced Technology Institute. This is Dr. Hana Lee, the Korean president explained. Our leading expert in theoretical propulsion physics. Hana nodded at the screens. If the alien ship that landed today is any indication of their technology level, we have a starting point. With global cooperation and Mr. Dak's knowledge, we have a chance. A chance? Dak seemed stunned. You have less than 60 days. Then, we better not waste time, said the British Prime Minister. I propose an immediate global state of emergency and the formation of an Earth Defense Council. The vote was unanimous. As the world leaders began organizing their response, Dak pulled June aside. Your leaders don't seem afraid, he said, clearly confused. Oh, they're terrified, June replied. But humans have something that might surprise you. What's that? When backed into a corner, we don't cower. We fight hardest when we're most afraid. June smiled grimly. And we're very creative when we're desperate. Dak looked around at the room full of humans already dividing tasks, forming committees and making plans to fight an enemy they had no business challenging. Your species is either the bravest or the most foolish I've ever encountered, Dak said. Probably both, June admitted. Now let's get you to a secure facility. I have a feeling you're about to see just how quickly humans can move when properly motivated. As they left the building, news helicopters circled overhead. Someone had leaked the story. On every street corner, people gathered around phones and screens showing emergency broadcasts. But there was no panic in the streets, no riots. Just determined faces and a tension in the air. The unmistakable electricity of a species that had evolved through countless disasters and survived. Dak looked up at the sky, where the stars were just becoming visible in the evening light. The Foreign think this will be an easy conquest. Their first mistake, June said, following his gaze upward. And if we have anything to say about it, their last. 1 week after the alien ship landed in Seoul, the old military base deep in the mountains was buzzing with activity. Workers moved back and forth between buildings. Trucks came and went, bringing supplies and equipment. Helicopters landed and took off from 3 different pads. June Kim stood at a window overlooking it all. This place had been empty for years. Now it was the heart of Earth's defense plan. Impressive, said a voice behind him. Dak stepped up to the window. The blue-skinned alien still looked out of place in the human facility. 7 days ago, this was abandoned. Humans work fast when motivated, June replied. Too fast, Dak said, shaking his head. You rush, you cut corners, you take risks no sensible species would take. Before June could answer, the door opened. A man in a simple military uniform walked in. His hair was gray at the temples and he moved with quiet confidence. This was General Sunwoo Park, chosen to lead Earth's defense forces. The meeting is starting, the general said. The science team has news. June and Dak followed General Park, down long hallways filled with people working at computers or studying diagrams. Everywhere they went, people stopped to stare at Dak. Not with fear, but with hope. The alien had become a symbol that humans were not alone in the universe. That help was possible. If only they knew how little help the Galactic Coalition was actually offering, June thought. The main conference room was packed with military leaders and scientists from 20 countries. At the front stood Dr. Hana Lee, now in charge of the technology division. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept much. Let's get started, General Park said, taking his seat at the front table. Dr. Lee, what have you found? Hana tapped a tablet. and the large screen behind her lit up with images of Dak's ship. Thanks to our guest's cooperation, we've been able to study his shuttle systems, she began. While he cannot give us direct access to weapons technology, due to coalition rules, we have learned enough about their power systems and materials to make significant progress. Progress toward what? Asked a Russian general. Hanna smiled. Adapting our existing technology to have a fighting chance. She tapped her tablet again. The screen showed a satellite in orbit around Earth. This is one of our communication satellites, she explained. And this... Another tap showed the same satellite with new additions. This is what we're converting it into. A disruption device that can target Vorn ship engines. Dak leaned forward. That's not possible. Your technology is too primitive to affect Vorn systems. Alone, yes, Hanna agreed. But we're not using just our technology. We've studied the materials in your ship's communication array. With some modifications, we can create a pulse that will temporarily disable Vorn propulsion systems. Temporarily? General Park asked. 15 to 20 seconds, Hanna admitted. But in space combat, that could be enough. Murmurs filled the room. Dak looked stunned. You can't possibly adapt that technology so quickly, he protested. The scientific principles alone would take years to understand. We don't need to fully understand them, Hanna said. We just need to make them work. And we have. She nodded to an assistant who pressed a button. A video played on the screen, showing a small-scale test. A model of what must be a Vorn ship design, based on Dak's descriptions, suddenly stopped moving when hit by an invisible pulse. This is based on the materials you said Vorn ships use, Hanna explained to Dak. We've already modified 20 satellites. Within 2 weeks, we'll have 100 ready. Dak looked at June. Is she serious? Very, June replied. And that's just the beginning. General Park stood up. Dr. Lee's team is just one of 12 working around the clock. We're also adapting our nuclear weapons with new delivery systems, creating EMP devices that might penetrate their shields, and building remote-controlled ships to draw their fire. And the moon base? Asked a Chinese official. Operational in 3 days, General Park confirmed. The Vorn won't expect an attack from behind. Dak looked confused. Moon base? You have a base on your moon? The room went quiet. June had forgotten that they hadn't told Dak everything. We've had small research stations on the moon for years, General Park said carefully. Nothing major. But in the past week, we've expanded them considerably. That's impossible, Dak said. The resources needed to transport materials to your moon in such a short time. We're already there, Hanna interrupted. The nations of Earth have been stockpiling materials on the moon for decades, just in case. In case of what? Dak asked. In case we needed them, General Park said simply. The same way we've had plans for alien contact, invasion scenarios, and global cooperation during extraterrestrial threats. You planned for this? Dak seemed unable to process what he was hearing. Not specifically, June explained. But humans have always imagined both the best and worst possibilities. We create stories about them, make movies, write books, and sometimes we make real plans, just in case the stories turn out to be true. A young lieutenant entered the room and whispered something to General Park. The general's eyes widened. It seems our friends at the Mars colony have news, he announced. Now Dak actually stood up. Mars colony? You have people living on Mars? Just a small research team, General Park said. About 50 people. They've been there for 3 years. But your technology, Dak began, is more advanced than we've shared with the rest of the galaxy. Hanna finished for him. We keep some things to ourselves. The screen changed to show a man in a habitat clearly not on Earth. Red soil could be seen through a window behind him. General Park, the man said. We've completed the modifications to the long-range scanners as requested. We can now detect ships entering the solar system up to 3 days earlier than Earth-based systems. Excellent, General Park replied. And the other project? The man smiled. The prototype is ready for testing. If it works, we can build 20 more before the Vorn arrive. What prototype? Dak asked when the call ended. General Park looked at Hanna, who nodded. A device that can redirect the Vorn's own weapon energy back at them, she explained. Like a mirror, but for their energy weapons. That's theoretical technology, Dak exclaimed. Even the Coalition hasn't perfected it. Maybe they haven't needed to badly enough, June suggested. As they left the meeting, Dak walked silently beside June. They entered a small observation room overlooking a massive hangar. Below, workers were attaching strange devices to fighter jets. Your people will still die, you know, Dak said quietly. Even with all this and creativity, the Vorn have conquered worlds more advanced than yours. Probably, June agreed. But we won't make it easy for them, and who knows, maybe we'll surprise them. We've certainly surprised you. Dak turned to look at him. Why? Why fight when you could surrender and survive? June thought about it. Because we're stubborn. Because this is our home. And because humans don't like being told what they can't do. It's not logical, Dak insisted. No, June smiled. It's human. In the hangar below, a test of one of the modified weapons suddenly lit up the entire area with a blinding flash. When their eyes adjusted, they could see workers cheering and hugging each other. What was that? Dak asked. Hope, June replied. Something you can't measure or predict. But it might be our strongest weapon. Dak shook his head. The Vorn are coming with 200 warships. You have 50 days left. Then we better keep working, June said. Because impossible or not, we're going to be ready when they get here. They're here. Those two simple words from General Park silenced the command center. 53 days had passed since Dak's arrival. Despite all the preparations, despite the feverish work, the moment still felt unreal. June looked at the large screen showing the solar system. Near the orbit of Jupiter, red dots appeared. Many red dots. The Vorn fleet had arrived. How many? Someone asked. 196 ships detected, replied a technician, moving in formation toward Earth. Dak stood beside June, his blue skin looking paler than usual. More than I expected, he said quietly. General Park turned to face the room full of military leaders and scientists. It's time. Launch Operation Surprise. Across the room, people began speaking into headsets, typing on keyboards and pressing buttons. Screens lit up with activity. June felt his heart beating fast. What is Operation Surprise? Dak asked. Hana smiled. Something the Vorn won't expect. On the main screen, the image zoomed in on the Vorn fleet. Suddenly, from behind Jupiter's largest moon, small lights appeared. Dozens of them moving quickly toward the Vorn ships. What are those? Dak leaned forward, squinting at the screen. The first wave, General Park said. Unmanned drones. We hid them there 3 weeks ago. But how did you? We had rockets ready, Hana explained. We just needed a target to aim for. The drones approached the Vorn fleet. For a moment, nothing happened. Then 3 of the red dots disappeared from the screen. The room erupted in cheers. 3 Vorn ships destroyed, a technician called out. The drone's EMP weapons worked. Dak's mouth fell open. That's impossible. Their shields don't work against something they've never seen before, Hana finished. On the screen, the Vorn fleet changed formation. The remaining ships began firing at the drones. Most of the small lights winked out. They've adapted, General, Park noted. As expected. Begin second phase. New commands went out. On another screen, a video feed showed massive rockets launching from sites around Earth. Each rocket carried satellites and more drones. They'll be ready when the Vorn get closer, Hana told Dak. And we have more surprises waiting. Dak shook his head in wonder. You've done more in 50 days than most species do in 50 years. We work well under pressure, June said. 3 days later, the Vorn fleet entered Earth orbit. By then, they had destroyed most of the human countermeasures in space. But not without cost. 28 Vorn ships had been destroyed or disabled. Still more than 150 ships, General Park told the emergency meeting of world leaders. They're positioning for attack. On cue, A signal came through on all communication channels. The face that appeared on the screen wasn't human. It had gray skin, small eyes, and rows of ridged bone where hair should be. This was a Vorn. People of Earth, the alien said in oddly accented English. I am Fleet Commander Grak of the Vorn Empire. Your pathetic attempts to resist have failed. Surrender now, and we will allow some of you to live as servants. Continue fighting, and we will burn your cities to ash. The world leaders looked at each other. The American president stood up. We have a response prepared, he said. General Park nodded to a technician who pressed a button. The message they had prepared began to play. Vorn Fleet, said the recorded voice of the UN Secretary General. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not serve. If you want our planet, you'll have to fight for every inch of it. And we're ready to fight. The Vorn commander's face showed shock, then anger. The transmission cut off. That went about as expected, the Russian president said. Dryly, all forces in position? General Park asked his staff. Yes, sir. Moon base is ready. Mars team standing by. All ground defenses activated. Then we wait for their first move, General Park said. They didn't wait long. Within an hour, 30 Vorn ships broke from the main fleet and moved toward Earth's atmosphere. They're targeting major cities, a technician called out. New York, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, London. Activate the shield satellites, General Park ordered. Around the world, modified satellites moved into position above the targeted cities. When the Vorn ships fired their first energy weapons, the satellites intercepted the blasts. Some exploded from the force, but they absorbed enough energy to save the cities below. Shield satellites performing at 60% efficiency, Hana reported. Better than expected. What about our offensive? General Park asked. Moon base firing in 3, 2, 1. From the far side of the moon, hidden laser cannons fired at the Vorn fleet. The massive energy beams, built using technology reverse-engineered from Dak's ship, cut through 5 Vorn vessels before the others could raise their shields. Direct hits! Someone shouted. The battle had begun in earnest. For the next 6 hours, June watched as humanity fought for its survival. The command center was a storm of activity, reports coming in from around the world and from space. The Vorn were powerful, their weapons devastating. When they broke through the satellite shield, cities suffered. Parts of Miami disappeared under energy blasts. Half of Cairo burned. The eastern side of Sydney became a crater, but humans fought back. Fighter jets equipped with modified weapons damaged Vorn ships that came too close to Earth. Ground-based lasers targeted engines and weapon ports. And the hidden bases on the Moon and Mars continued their surprise attacks from behind. Most shocking of all were the thousands of small drones that swarmed the Vorn ships when they entered the atmosphere. Too small to target effectively, the drones attached themselves to the hulls and detonated, causing breaches that larger weapons could then exploit. This isn't war, Dak whispered as he watched the screens. It's chaos. Exactly, June replied. The Vorn expect order, strategy, predictable responses. We're giving them madness. By the end of the first day, 40 more Vorn ships had been destroyed or disabled. But Earth had paid a heavy price. Millions dead, cities in ruins, and the Vorn still had over 100 ships. They're regrouping, General Park announced, looking at the main screen. The remaining Vorn ships were pulling back, forming a tight, defensive formation in orbit. Why? Asked the Chinese general. They still outnumber us. Because they're confused, Dak said, surprising everyone. The Vorn conquer through overwhelming force and fear. They've never faced a species that keeps fighting after losing cities. So what will they do now? June asked. Dak studied the formation on the screen. They'll either bring in their entire fleet for a final attack, or they'll retreat to reconsider. General Park turned to Hana. Is the special weapon ready? Hana nodded. Mars base reports it's at full power. They can target the Vorn formation, but they'll only get one shot. What weapon? Dak asked. June smiled grimly. You might want to cover your eyes. On the screen, a massive energy beam suddenly shot from the direction of Mars. It hit the center of the Vorn formation, passing through 3 ships before dissipating. Those ships didn't explode. They simply came apart, breaking into pieces. What was that? Dak gasped. We call it the Sunbreaker, Hana said. It temporarily disrupts the atomic bonds in any material it touches. We based it on your ship's engine principles. Before anyone could say more, something unexpected happened. The Vorn fleet started to move, not toward Earth, but away. They're leaving? General Park couldn't hide his surprise. Confirmed, said a technician. All remaining Vorn ships are breaking orbit. They're on a course out of the solar system. A cheer began somewhere in the room. It spread quickly, people hugging each other, crying, laughing. They had done it. Against all odds, Earth had fought off the Vorn invasion. In the midst of the celebration, June noticed Dak standing alone, staring at the screen with an expression of complete disbelief. Still think we're insane? June asked him. Yes, Dak replied honestly. But perhaps that's what saved you. 3 months after the Vorn fleet retreated, Earth was a changed world. Cities were being rebuilt. New technology appeared almost daily. And for the first time in history, all nations worked together with a shared purpose. June Kim stood on the balcony of the new United Earth headquarters in Geneva. Below him, people from every country walked together in the gardens. Some wore business suits, others military uniforms, and many wore the new blue jumpsuits of the Earth Space Force. Enjoying the view? Asked a familiar voice. June turned to see Dak approaching. The blue-skinned alien no longer looked out of place among humans. In fact, he wore an Earth diplomatic uniform with a special pin showing his status as the Galactic Coalition representative. Just thinking about how much has changed, June replied. Dak nodded. Your people rebuild as quickly as they fight. It was true. The destruction from the battle had been massive. Millions had died when the Vorn attacked major cities. But humans had immediately begun helping each other, crossing old borders and forgetting old conflicts. The Earth Council is ready for you, both, said an aide appearing at the doorway. June and Dak followed her into the large circular room where the new Earth Council met. 24 leaders from around the world sat at a round table. These men and women now governed Earth together, making decisions for the whole planet. General Park and Dr. Hana Lee were already there, standing near a large screen. They nodded as June and Dak entered. Ambassador Kim, Representative Dak. Thank you for joining us, said the council chairwoman, a woman from Kenya. Today marks an important moment for Earth. Dr. Lee, please share your report. Hana stepped forward and tapped her tablet. The screen behind her lit up with images of captured Vorn technology. The ships we disabled during the battle have given us incredible advances, she began. We've successfully reverse-engineered their faster-than-light engines. The first Earth ship with this technology will be ready for testing next month, murmurs of approval filled the room. June couldn't help smiling. 3 months ago, such technology had seemed centuries away. Now it was almost ready. And the defense systems? Asked a council member from Brazil. Even better news, Hana replied. We've improved on the Vorn shield design. Our version uses 30% less energy and covers a wider area. All major cities now have these shields, and we're expanding to smaller population centers. General Park stepped forward next. The moon base has been expanded to house 10,000 people and serves as our main defense headquarters. Mars Colony now has 500 residents and has begun producing ships for our growing fleet. And what about the Vorn? Asked another council member. Any sign of their return? Our long-range scanners show no Vorn activity within 50 light-years, General Park reported. It seems our message was received. Everyone knew what message he meant. After the battle, Earth had sent a simple transmission toward the Vorn Empire. We know where you live now too. Think carefully before returning. Which brings us to today's main topic, said the chairwoman, turning to Dak. Representative Dak, we understand you have a message from the Galactic Coalition. Dak stepped forward, looking slightly nervous. Yes, Chairwoman. The Coalition Council has met and reached a decision regarding Earth's application for membership. The room went quiet. This was the moment Earth had been waiting for. After defeating the Vorn, June had helped draft the formal request for Earth to join the coalition of spacefaring civilizations. It would mean access to trade, technology, and protection. Before I deliver their decision, Dak continued, I must say something personal. When I first arrived on Earth, I thought your species was doomed. Your technology seemed primitive, your nations divided, and your methods chaotic. I believed the Vorn would easily conquer your world. He paused, looking around the room. I have never been so happy to be wrong. In 53 days, you achieved what other species couldn't do in centuries. You united, adapted, and fought with a creativity that left me in awe. The Vorn had never retreated from a planned conquest before Earth. So what did the coalition decide? Asked a council member impatiently. Dak smiled. The coalition has voted unanimously to accept Earth as its 57th member world, with full rights and privileges. The room erupted in applause. People stood and shook hands. Some even hugged. Earth was now officially recognized as a galactic civilization. When the noise died down, Dak raised his hand. There is more. The Coalition Council has also created a new position. Earth will lead the Coalition Defense Committee. They believe your unique approach to problem-solving and warfare could help protect all member worlds. This announcement brought even louder cheers. Not only was Earth accepted, but it was being given an important leadership role. And one final thing, Dak added when he could be heard again. The Vorn Empire has sent a formal message to the Coalition. They have declared Earth a prohibited target and established a 20-light-year buffer zone around your solar system. In simple terms, they're afraid of you. June couldn't help laughing at this. Humans had gone from an unknown species to one, feared by the galaxy's greatest conquerors in just a few months. After the meeting, June and Dak walked in the gardens outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in beautiful colors. So, Ambassador Kim, Dak said, using June's new title, how does it feel to represent Earth to the galaxy? Overwhelming, June admitted. 3 months ago, I was filing reports no one read. Now I'm helping write treaties with alien civilizations. You were ready when it mattered, Dak said. That's what counts. They stopped at a viewpoint overlooking the city and the mountains beyond. In the distance, a large ship rose slowly into the sky. One of Earth's new vessels, built with a mix of human creativity and alien technology. The Coalition representatives arrive tomorrow, June said. 56 different alien species coming to officially welcome Earth. Are we really ready for this? Dak laughed. After watching humans build impossible weapons in weeks, defeat the Vorn, and rebuild half your planet in months, I think the real question is the galaxy ready for humans? What do you mean? The Coalition has existed for 12,000 years, Dak explained. Most member species advance slowly, carefully, following established patterns. Then comes Earth, solving in days problems that stumped others for centuries, thinking in ways no one considered before. We just did what we had to do, June said. Exactly. And that's what makes humans special. When told something is impossible, you don't accept it. You find a way. As the ship disappeared into the clouds, June thought about everything that had happened. The fear when Dak first arrived with news of the invasion, the desperate race to prepare, the terrible battle and its aftermath. And now, a new beginning. So what happens next? June asked. Dak smiled and pointed to the stars that were just becoming visible in the evening sky. That's up to you. But based on what I've seen, I wouldn't bet against Earth no matter what challenges lie ahead. Neither would I, June agreed. Neither would I.